Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode here on My Aligned Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Nicole. I've got Willow Kai in the house today. And Willow, I can't wait for everyone to get to meet you. I've had maybe a handful, two handfuls of men on the show in the last 5 years. And not because I don't enjoy having men on the show. It really just seems to be that women seem to have this aligned, energetic message. And then I meet the right men like yourself and the other incredible male guests I've had on the show. And I'm like, oh no, you actually get it too. You understand the energy, the alignment, the whole like not bro marketing sort of side of things. And so I'm really excited for everyone to hear from you and hear what you're all about. But before we get into it, why don't you tell everybody where are you calling in from today and what are you grateful for?
Amazing. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I am calling in right now from Portland, Oregon, my hometown, and I am honestly very grateful for just what life has been throwing at me lately. Feels like when it comes to the aligned purpose right now, feels very aligned in relationship, love, business, other business things like opportunities, doors opening up. So feeling very grateful for life right now.
So good.
Yeah.
I always like to kick off the conversation with taking us back. And typically I like to take people back to teenage years.
Amazing.
Yeah, a big piece of that is if you had have told me when I was a teenager that I was going to have a business and feel successful and live a really big life, I would have said, yeah, of course I want that. But I think our backgrounds may sound similar. I love to party. I loved a good time. I still have a good time. But I was just living a completely different life. And then later on down the road, I ended up teaching high school. And I saw how everybody was so stressed about the pressure of you've got to know what the heck you're doing with your whole life at 18.
Yeah.
And really knows that anyway. And I know tidbits of just from reels and Instagram and stuff about your teenage experience, but I think this will be really fun to get to dive into. So take us back to teenage Willow.
Okay.
And what were you up to? What did you think? How did you think life was going to unfold for you? And what has been the journey from that version of you to who you are today?
All right. We're starting deep. I like it. Okay. So it's actually funny that you say, let's start at teenagehood, because I feel like that is really where my story started. I grew up with very young parents. Both of my parents were 20 when they had me. And so growing up, it was almost like having friends instead of parents in some ways. And then that brought me into my teenage years and even preteen, going into kind of just being obsessed with the whole like drug, sex, and rock and roll vibe. My dad was a house DJ, so I grew up going to raves and was introduced to that world very young, preteen. And so once I became a teenager, by 12 or 13, I was living very independently, and I was like, that's perfect. Like I see my path. By the time I was 14, 15, I got a job as a promoter for a big event company so that I could market to underage people and bring them to shows. And that was my first marketing promotion job. And then I was honestly on a pretty bad path. I liked doing essentially everything bad that you could do and was getting into a lot of trouble when it comes to like drugs and fighting and just like being a boy in adolescence that is up to no good. And then that brought me to meeting my now wonderful wife, Becca. I met Becca actually when I was probably, like, it sounds fucking crazy to say this, but I probably met her when I was 12. And then I, at that time, was like the weed dealer at the park. And I met her at a park, and she was like the new girl from California and was really hot and came from a weed grower family. And so I was like, fuck, this is my in. And then we met each other. We didn't hit it off at all. And then we started dating at 15 after running into each other at a rave and just running into each other in the crowd and being like, haven't seen you in a couple of years. I think we're going to be together forever. And then we've been together for 13 years since. So at that time, we were like, we really connected on both being like the schemers and leaders of our friend groups, whether it was being resourceful and trying to figure out something, finding a job, finding a way into a bar, finding a way into a party or on a trip. Like we were the ones that would make it happen. And so we really connected on that. I started traveling and started living together at 16 years old. And then just started our journeys into business together, which is very unique. We tried community college for a little bit together. We would like smoke weed in the parking lot and go try and do college together. And then funny enough, with our careers now being very public and speaking a lot, like even being on this podcast, Becca and I actually pulled up to our last day of college, and it was the day of our public speaking class. We were supposed to give our speech. We got to the parking lot and in the most Becca fashion ever, looked at each other and said, honestly, I think I'm good on giving this speech. Do you want to go out to brunch? And left and just decided that we were done. Then we did some traveling. Honestly, that was like 2015 in the prime digital nomad era, and got into Central America and Asia, and we're just like hosteling it around. And that is what landed us into this online space and exposed us to being online entrepreneurs. And then we just committed. We were like, at that point, we were like, this is my aligned purpose. I am going to be a remote marketer of some sort. And I had no idea what that meant. I honestly didn't even really know what it meant to be a marketer, but it sounded sick. And so we just threw ourselves into it at that point.
I love everything about that. I love it because so much of it is relatable. I love it because it debunks all of the myths or beliefs out there that you've got to climb some sort of corporate ladder or have some level of post-secondary education to be able to get ahead in this world. Or even it doesn't even sound like the two of you were using like straight and narrow entrepreneurial parents as proof. Like truly, it sounds like within a desire, you saw a little bit of something, you saw people were being digital nomads. Hey, let's try this out. Going from there. And I love that because I know there's so many people who are listening that are like, my parents weren't entrepreneurial. Yeah, neither were mine. Oh, I don't have post-secondary. Yeah, who cares?
Right.
Just to hear your background, I think sets the stage for so many people of truly anything is possible. With that belief, when you got into all of this in 2015 or in that era, did you ever foresee that it would unfold as big as it is? Because you guys have a multi-million-dollar education company.
Yeah. The cocky side of me wants to say yes. I do, because when you even bring up the debunking of the myth of that you need to climb a corporate ladder and then, blah, 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 I truly believe that you have to climb a ladder and you get to choose whether it's like the ladder of life or a corporate ladder or whatever. But I think at that time, with the scheming and the level of resourcefulness that Becca and I both shared, and that was like one of the big drivers of what brought us together, I think we made a commitment to both ourselves and each other at a very young age that we were willing to climb that ladder. Like, we were willing to fucking work, and we were willing to truthfully work harder and smarter than anyone that we know. And if we meet somebody that's working harder and smarter than us, immediately I want to learn what they're doing so that I can continue to do and evolve. So I think that the answer is, I had no idea. Growing up, I didn't really have any examples other than maybe like a distant family friend of somebody that made six figures. And growing up, I grew up in food stamps and government assisted living and like a single mom and friends that like just didn't have that reality or also influence. And I, even as a child, was very like money driven and a little bit capitalist. And so I always knew I was going to outdo both of my parents, which I think is amazing and every child should try to do. But I always had this idea that by 25, I better be making $100K. And I was like, at that time as a child, I was thinking, okay, that's maybe going to be me working like a sales job or something. I had no idea that it would become entrepreneurial. When we started, I got a job being a virtual assistant from an amazing woman named Sam. And I worked with her for a while. She had a couple of companies that I started doing all these things for. And she worked a little bit with Becca because Becca would do photo shoots for her and I would do the marketing. And she told us together on like maybe one of the last calls, she was like, it is intimidating how good you guys are if you stick with it. And at that time, we had no idea, like there was nothing in sight other than just like continuing to stick with it. And so that was like the birth of it. And I think that so important to remember that Instagram and social media, and even being a marketer, the way that we display ourselves is a highlight reel. And so while, yes, we have a multi-million-dollar brand and a lot of amazing things happening, I think that especially at the beginning stages of business, you really don't see how many failures there are. And so just for everybody like that's listening to this that doesn't have the formal education or doesn't have the experience already, I cannot even tell you how many businesses of being like a marketing specialist in that whatever specialty I have started and failed at. And so I hope that is, and failure is such a subjective term, but like fail meaning that I don't do it now, it didn't really stick, it wasn't the thing. But I think that what's amazing is now looking back on those 5 years, every single one of those failures is a skill that I learned that now is a part of this business. Like little things like learning how to write bots or learning how to manage a social media account or do a podcast, all of those things, even if it's not your thing, like it's going to take you to the top, as you build a business, there are a lot of freaking things that go into it. And essentially every skill that you're learning, you're just stacking.
I love that so much. If this is not the thing that's going to take you to the top, yeah, like you said, we're all climbing a ladder or should all be climbing a ladder. It will at least take you to the next step. It will,
Exactly.
take you that, even if you cannot figure out how right now. I have two more questions in this like vein of me. And then I want to talk about your podcast, BLE, what's coming, all that sort of thing.
Amazing.
Okay, my two questions related to your journey are like, you're still quite young, right?
I am, yeah. 28, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I imagine myself at 28, I'm 39, I'm going to be 40 this year. I imagine myself at 28, if I had a business, a brand that was making multi-millions, oh my gosh, I would be spending all my money on all the wrong things. My head was not on straight at 28, I can tell you that. I would have been blowing my money on, well, trips and experiences for sure, but I would have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. Where along the journey did you like get your head on straight to be like, okay, we're making this kind of money and we're going to be resourceful with it and we're not going to burn it all to the ground. We're not going to blow it. Like to be 28 years old and to be managing that level of wealth, it's a whole other conversation. Yeah, you can generate it. But managing it, holding it, investing it, maintaining it. Where did you learn that or what made you want to learn that?
It's a good question. I think that the wanting to learn it, I actually don't really, if I'm being 100% honest with myself, didn't hit until the last 12 months. I have always managed. So one thing that's unique about Becca and I, because of the length of our relationship, is that we've never had our own bank accounts. Like we have been joint since we were 18. And so when the bank account started growing, like I remember it's funny because when Becca started her business, she had saved like $8,000. And it was at a time where I was still working a job and she would always act like her $8,000 in savings, like put her at such a different place. Like just in case anything happens, she has savings and I don't. And then when we were like, all right, let's join together and just we're sticking with it. We're going to start businesses. They're just all going to be together. When we did that, it was still normal life, I would say, for the first like year or two. Like you're making more than a lot of people, but you're not like actually bringing in real revenue. And then honestly, it was literally like that, the way that things scaled, because at that time, this is like bringing up to about 2020, 2021, we had both been making maybe 10 to 20K a month each. You're like living very comfortably, very great we were like 21 or 22 years old. So we were big pimping for that time. But then we both went on to TikTok right when the pandemic started and were among the first people to bring business content onto TikTok, at least in our world of younger entrepreneurs. And it was not the actual demographic of people we were looking for, but it just took off. And so our income at that point really started to rise. And then the first year of going from just coaching and designing into online education was our big like, whoa moment. I was running a group program. And so me and Becca essentially raced each other to see who could hit 100K a month first. And she was able to do that with her first course. I was able to do that with a combination of my one-on-one coaching and group program. And the crux of it was by the time we got to it, I completely burnt myself out. And she had this Evergreen program and was fucking big chilling at the beach. And so then we really realized that if we put our minds together, could create something that's really scalable. And with the scalability brings in the revenue and brings in like the opportunity. But I also want to be real with people because I think that this is very common in that once the money came, the stress didn't leave, because I grew up having not even much stress around money, but I had a lot of conditioning from like my parents and their relationships with money. And I always thought, oh, like once you make 100K, you're not stressed. Or once you have savings, you're not stressed. Turns out you could have $1 million in your checking account, and then the stress just switches to other money stressors.
Yeah. Will I lose it?
Will I lose it? Am I making the right decisions? Am I not spending it and losing out on opportunity? All of these things. And so for the first couple of years, I took over all of our finances, and it was like based out of fear, to be honest. It was like it could be taken from us. If I hire a financial advisor, maybe it's not worth their fee because they're not doing anything. Just all of these thoughts. And it really wasn't until the last couple of years where I feel like I was able to fully shift into feeling empowered, and then realizing that money is truly just a energetic currency, and that we are in a place which I'm incredibly grateful to be. And I want to help other people get to this place that if you have a good product and you're good at marketing it, you can literally just create money, which is pretty freaking special. It's honestly.
With entrepreneurship, and as somebody who was an employee my whole life until I was 33 or 34.
Yeah.
I can see that the perk of entrepreneurship is there's no cap on what you earn, but also like you've got to get out there and earn it. Nobody's going to hand you a paycheck if you don't get out there and earn it. And it's then the flexibility and the freedom to make your own schedule. But if you're not fucking disciplined and focused, then days are going to pass by and you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't do any marketing. I didn't do any sales. So it's like, there is this, yes, incredible opportunity to be like, you can create money, and you have to believe that you can create money. Otherwise, I know people listening to this will be like, oh, that's easy to say because you've created money and I've been trying this thing for years or this or that. And it's yes, you can have all the strategy, you can have the funnels, you can have the landing pages, whatever it is. But if you don't believe that this is worthy of people paying you and paying you well, then it won't work. Because the mindset behind it is, it's like that block will just keep coming up of, no, it's not available for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that once you unlock that, like whether it's a mindset shift or a self-worth shift, I think that the world opens up a lot of opportunity. And I think that there are certain business models that are able to do this easier than others. I think yours and like a lot of people listening that are coaches or anything that you're selling, like an info offer or a coaching offer, it's really like if you feel good about it and you are actually confident in the result that you can give to clients, you literally can just whip it up and just put it out into the world and see if people bite. And I think that it's very easy to, even now we are like in the exact thing that I'm about to say of like, when you're like, oh, that's a good idea. It's so easy to make it such a big thing. Oh, I need a landing page. I need to hire a designer. I need to hire a copywriter. Maybe I need a photo shoot, like all these things where really you can go on your story and just pick a photo in your camera roll, put some text and see if people bite. And that's all you need. And I think that Becca and I got so comfortable doing that with how many offers we've launched and sale campaigns we've done that it's like at this point, it's literally clock. And then as you realize, okay, that works, then you can think, maybe if I invest into that photographer or a landing page, maybe it could be bigger. And then that was like the start of it, was we realized that, okay, if I can drive the traffic and I can make it exciting enough, meaning it's like a new offer or there's a discount that's never been seen before or whatever it is, I can really do some volume. And then when you look at building your audience, and that if you can do a sale or a launch and you can convert 1% of your audience, there is a lot of freaking money to be made. And so we just dove into it, started doing a lot of live launches, which is now like a lot of our business, and just validated that it could work and then built upon it over and over again.
Yeah. And then I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself and Kayla, we really truly don't get fixated on the number outcome of how many people sign up in the first 24 hours, 48 hours in the launch in total. We just have this now, we can say this 5 years into this business, of a true trust that the right people are finding us and will work with us and will refer us, and not being disappointed if you want 20 people to sign up and you get 10 and it's only half the people I wanted. It's like, you're impacting 10 people's lives, and those 10 people could go tell 10 more people each, and you've got
Yeah.
100 people who are waiting for you to launch the next thing.
Yeah.
Energy is only 10, then, well, that's going to be felt too.
Honestly. And I'm actually curious, and maybe we can go into this one a little deeper, because I'm curious your perspective, because I actually feel like that is how we were running BLE until I came in. And now we run it differently. And Becca actually is very similar to you in that she doesn't like or want to be a part as much of the analytical and logistical looking at launches. And that was a really big shift for us. And maybe anybody that's listening to this, from going from we were completely organic for the first 3 years. And for the last 2 years, we have supplemented traffic with paid. And that shift took a long time. And we're still not even really like through it, I would say. But it is a huge shift in it not being like as much of let's just see, because you then have to project how much are we going to spend on this. And I think that was big for me as I, and this is funny, because you had said no bro marketing, but I would say that this is the little bit of bro coming out.
Yeah.
In that when you go into a launch, like I'll give real examples. 22, we did a Black Friday sale, which was us dropping all of our courses by 30%, 72-hour sale. And it was at the time the biggest sale that we had done. I think we did 165,000 cash in 3 days. Amazing, right? But then next year rolls around 2023. And at that time I had started doing ads. We had about 4,000 students at that point. So at that point, I felt really confident with what we were selling. So the next year comes around and Black Friday's coming up, and I know it's going to be a big time. And then I was like, okay, if we did 160 last year, could we spend this year and do more? And then you have to go into like, okay, how much should I spend? How much should I spend on our team prepping all of these ads and landing pages and all these duplicated funnels and all this stuff? Soon enough, you realize you're spending like $60,000 to $100,000 to do a sale. And you have to attach a goal of this many people have to join in the first day. This many people have to join total. This many people have to take the upsell offer or landing page or the thank you page offer. And it's been a big shift going from let's just see to it being so analytical. And I'm curious how you feel about that.
I would say that if we were doing a 4-way podcast right now, Becca was here and Kayla was here, I would say Kayla is 100% match to you. Like
okay.
It's the spreadsheet. She loves putting in the numbers. To her, sales and business is math.
Yeah.
Plug in the numbers and it's math. And my brain just does not function that way. And I am just, I am such an intuitive, trusting person. I just trust things will work out. And when I say that, I'm like, I want more and I want more and I want more. And I trust that more and more is coming. And I know with like focus, strategy, data, analytics, more could happen now.
Yeah.
And to be honest, our audience has heard this, especially our clients have heard this a few times. We've tried ads twice. We tried ads in the fall of 2024, so a year ago, and the fall of 2023. Both times we tried ads to different companies or agencies, and we felt burned both times. Fuck, these people are just soaking us for every penny we have, not seeing any ROAS, and just feeling like, why isn't this working for us?
Yeah.
And we always say we are not closed off to ads in the future, but we would want to feel like there was a surplus of cash flow to pull from, because we certainly don't want to go into debt to try running ads when what we're doing is working.
Yeah.
Could we pour gasoline on the fire? And that's what's been told to us with different ad agencies of, you guys do this so well organically. Of course, ads will work for you, but then they just haven't. And again, it's been 2 times. We could try it again and we will down the road. But I think that, like, to your point of, there's a mindset of being like laxy daisy and trusting and seeing what happens, and that can work. And there's proof in the pudding that the largest companies, largest brands, if we look at somebody like Tony Robbins, for example, he's not doing it organically. It's And so I think there's a time and a place in business, and I'm excited for us to get there again. Right now, our trust feels low.
Yeah, I completely respect that. And I can say that now, being 2 years further into that advertising journey, the feelings that you're feeling are completely valid. And that, like, we have done it. I've hired and worked with the best agencies for female personal brands that have spent a bajillion dollars, that work with the biggest names, and they're fucking horrible. Literally, like, I'm asking for a refund. It's bad. And then I have gone the other route, and I have an amazing team member that has been with me for 4.5 years, and who I have gone on and off of her running all of my ads. And right now she's crushing it. And what I've found with the relationship with the person that's running them is that it is more important than the ads. It's more important than the copy or the images. And finding somebody that truly understands your brand and the ethos of what you do, how you communicate with people, how you want to be perceived. It's actually like a very holistic role. And when you go with an agency instead of it being in-house, you're typically working with 5 or 6 people on their team that all don't give a fuck about you. And really, at the end of the day, like, nothing that you do, nothing that you say is going to be that big of a deal. And I have really enjoyed having the in-house person. And it also, I think from an outside perspective, sounds so simple. Like, you just put money in and you make more money, and it's sick. It's not always like that at all. Sometimes you can make a lot, like a big Black Friday style sale, but then also, I'll be transparent, like, in the last 2 weeks, I've spent $80,000 on leads, and I've probably made $5,000. Like, I'm doing it at pretty much a break even. It's at a 1.07x, but I see value in bringing in 600-700 new customers for free. And so, like, you have to look at it in there being a weighted ROAS, which I think a lot of people don't realize, meaning that, like, your leads and your top of funnel are probably going to perform at less than a break even, and you're going to be losing money. But then your sales and your live launches are going to perform at, like, maybe a sale would be a 3 or 4x, and then a live launch could be a 10. And when you see it big picture, you can see it all makes sense. But when you, like, hire on an agency and they're only working on one campaign, and it's like a freebie to an offer, and it's not making money,
Right.
It's not the big picture, which I think is why so many people get burned.
And if you, like, to what we were saying earlier, confidence in you've got a good product and you can market, you get those 700 leads in. You and Becca, yeah, maybe the ad didn't convert them to a customer in this moment, but your content, your marketing, your energy, you've got 700 new people to be like, hey,
Exactly.
here's who we are. And that's worth it.
Exactly. And I think that the biggest piece, and like where your ad agencies in the past have been like, oh, we'll just throw fuel on the fire, what you guys are doing is working. It is true in that if tomorrow you and Kayla decided that, hey, we're going to do a big sale, let's make some money, I'm trying to buy a car or something like that, you could go on your stories, you can make a reel, you can make a static post, you could send an email, you could maybe send a text, but then what? Like, maybe think about all the people that you didn't catch their attention, or that piece of communication that went out at a bad time and they were like yelling at their kid, or like just all of these reasons, or maybe they just didn't even look at their like computer that day. You're missing out on a lot of people. And realistically speaking, you aren't going to show up on your story and sell at the cadence that really will make a sale. Meaning, when we have our big sale days, when we're like really going all out, the volume of things is operating like a machine. And I think that is where people don't understand that, oh, that big business or that big business person that I'm looking at and idolizing, they are running a fucking machine. Where, like, on a big sale day, I will send maybe 5 to 6 emails, 5 to 6 texts. I'm sending out broadcasts on Instagram. We're posting maybe 4 times, and I'm spending a bunch on ads. And I have my frequency turned up from 7 to 10, meaning that in that day, if you're on my list, you're getting hit on SMS, email, broadcasts on Instagram, DMs on Instagram, and seeing my ads 7 to 10 times a day. There's no way. Like, I always think of it now is if I do a sale, I don't want any of my warm audience to not know that there was a sale. And really, a lot of people just don't see or engage with you selling.
I can't wait for so many of our aligned CEOs and our clients and our community to just hear what you just said, because I feel like a parent. When I say loud and proud, you want to be sick of hearing yourself. You feel like you are only talking about what's for sale. But you have to remember that if somebody is brand new to your page, this is the first time they're hearing about it. So if you're like, oh, but I've already said it, or I don't want to be annoying, or whatever it is, like that's not sales mentality.
Yeah.
You want to annoy yourself for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God, here I go again talking about what's for sale. But the whole intention when I'm telling people like reintroduce yourself or re-say what's for sale, and they're like, oh, I just did that last week. Have you got some new followers? Because hopefully you're getting new.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't hear it last week. So say it again. And
Yeah.
wait.
100%. I feel like a couple of tips there for the people that are listening that are thinking, okay, but I don't want to sound like a broken record or the same people are just watching is one, you definitely want to be able to sell more often with direct call to actions than you might want to show up. Meaning that like you might wake up on a Wednesday and be like, today would be a great day to make a call to action, but I don't feel well. Or I'm hungover or whatever the reason is that you don't want to get on your stories and you're like talking to your phone, right? So make a slide deck for your stories that it's 5 to 6 slides. It shares what you do, what you offer, who it's for. And then maybe it even shows like let's say you're a coach and you have 3 spots available. It shows spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, and you can do it. And you can post that really regularly on your stories, maybe once a week, twice a week in combination to you also selling live. And it lets people remember, yeah, she posted that and she has 2 spots available. Oh, nice. One just got taken. Oh, nice. She has 1 more. And then if you are on the fence as a lead, you're watching this person's stories and you're like, man, I need this, or oh, I have a problem. And that person might be able to be a solution. Them reminding you that they have a spot available allows you to stay like on the side of the fence for longer. And it allows you as the business owner more opportunity to push them over the edge just by having it be really repetitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the selling often, you got to get confident. And if you're not confident, I think that's the biggest piece is at this point, I'm selling the same products. I've almost 14,000 students. It works. And so when I go on my story and I might appear as, oh, this guy's pushing a 25% discount for the weekend. What does he care? But it's at this point, I go to events and I meet our students and like the change and the impact is palpable. You literally see people changing their lives with the programs. And then you realize, and this could be the same for coaching, it could be the same for healing, any like modality. You realize I need to get this into people's hands, and me selling it isn't being sleazy, like it's selling them something that isn't going to work. It's literally just presenting an opportunity that I would like them to feel the impact of. That's it.
The invitation.
Yes.
I wish somebody had have invited me into what the digital space was 10 years ago when I was in the classroom being like,
yeah,
not the rest of my fucking life.
Literally. That's the best way to think about it, honestly, is like, even for everyone who's listening to this, thinking about, okay, I'm inspired. I'm going to show up and I'm going to sell it and use the messaging, like talk to the people that you're selling to, like you're inviting yourself and like the invitation that you wish you would have been given. Because like, I think back to when Becca and I are like backpacking Central America. If somebody would have shown us our offer, like best believe I would have bought it.
Yeah.
$5,000, business in a box. I'll teach you the skill. I'll teach you the business. I'll give you the designs. Like, what do you have? Like, all right.
Yeah.
That or 2 community college classes. Perfect. One or the other. It's like, I think about that. And so when I show up on my story, like you said, loud and proud, it's like, I want people to do this. Like now I have family members that go through our offers, my little sister, my Becca's grandma, Becca's stepmom, like all these people that go through it, whether they find immense success or not, it's like an amazing skill. They love learning and you can really do something with it. Like it's actually obtainable. And so if you're not selling smoke and mirrors or like a just off offer, I think that you just got to get behind it and sell it.
Absolutely. And I love to remind myself that I'm also a consumer.
Exactly.
I like to buy.
Exactly.
I'm just waiting for the right person to sell me the right thing, but I'm ready to go. I like to shop.
Exactly.
And I can't be the only person that is that way. Yeah, I think it's such a great reminder of just keep talking about what you're doing and be so confident in it. And I feel like I've always been confident since I've been a little kid, and I can give my parents credit to that. They were just like, do whatever you want, say whatever you want. Nobody ever shut me down. And I'm aware that's not common for many women. For sure, they've been told to be quiet, stay small, don't be too much, that sort of thing. But you can decide today that you're going to become confident. And confidence comes from taking action and practice. And defining what it means to be confident. And I often think borrow confidence from other places. Could I go plant a vegetable garden today? No, I don't know how to do that. But if I absolutely needed to, I borrow the confidence I have in selling my line purpose and
Yeah.
okay, I can surely apply some of this to like, I can grow my own garden. And so I think that borrowing confidence from area of your life and applying it to another is there.
Yeah.
This is a great segue into where the confidence was there. I loved the episodes. Where did you come up with the idea to start the Profitable Husband podcast? You just completed season 1, wrapped up.
I did. Yeah.
How was that for you? Can you give us the Cole's notes of what this was it 6 months of recording?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So I have always helped promote my wife's brand. And so I realized over the last couple of years that I've taken on many roles. I have gotten her featured in magazines. I have pitched her to news outlets, billboards, all of the things. I have then come into her brand and built out the ads and the finances. And even I came out with product under her brand of my own. And I realized at that time that after like driving millions of dollars of my own revenue into her brand and then also spending millions of dollars on our business together, I realized that I held this seat as what's kind of cliche, but as like this profitable husband. We do funny little skits that drive revenue to our courses. I manage it. Then I try and get her into new opportunities as much as I can. And all of these things. And I realized that I met a lot of other men that had a really powerful wife that did similar things. Like maybe they watch the kids while the wife is doing content. Maybe they were able to leave their job because the wife's brand had more opportunity than both of their careers separately. Just like all of these different stories that I wanted to shed light on and ultimately be able to help the journey for couples that are going through like rapid business growth just do it with more ease and comfort together. Like you had mentioned that you've only had a couple of guys on this podcast. I have been coaching clients for the last couple of years and I have only coached a couple of guys. It's all women. I grew up all around women and now my entire business is women, my team, my students, all of it. And so I realized through coaching a lot of really incredible female clients, some of which started to be a trend in that they were growing so quickly that they were leaving their partner. And while I'm coaching them, and it's a really big deal, it's emotional. And they are also on like the ride of their life because their business is going from 0 to 100, like really fucking quick. And I realized through that Becca and I have really had all of those same fights, all of those same issues, all of that same discomfort, but have found grace and ease working through it and have given each other the space to individually work on all of the things from going from being that teenage us to now making millions of dollars and having investment properties and making investments. Like it's just a whole different life. And a lot of personal development has to go into that, like more than I ever imagined. So I wanted to create a podcast so that both men and women could listen to it that are in relationships or that want to be in a business focused relationship with their partner, and just wrapped up for the first season.
And how has it left you feeling to know that you've set out to do this thing, you accomplished it? Did it exceed your expectations? Was there a learning curve of something you weren't expecting? What did doing this first season of the podcast teach you?
It taught me that the relationship that I have with Becca is so much more unique than I thought. I thought a lot of other guys did the same shit as me, and it turns out that I haven't found one that does, which is cool. It's been really inspiring to go into something that's fully from the ground up, where I'm not monetizing it yet and instead spending a bunch of money to create it and be back in that mentality of like needing to hustle to make it something, and have been very excited with the connections that it's brought and the people that have said yes, commonly from like literally a cold DM. So that's been really good. It's been also refreshing moment of, oh my God, there's so much to QC to get this podcast episode out, being totally honest. But it's great. I think that people don't realize how much work it takes to actually go from hitting up somebody to do a podcast to then doing it, to then posting it, and then trying to put out these clips that are like incredible, but also like really complex actually when you're making them. So it's been really good. I'm really excited to keep it going. I did the first season all in one studio, and I'm now going to shift into more of like a as we travel mode and hitting up guests as I go.
Cool.
Yeah.
There is a season 2 coming.
Yeah. Season 2 is dropping in the fall.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Willow, before we start to bring this episode to a wrap, can you tell us what is BLE
Yes.
for sale? What do you guys do? What can we buy? How can we find you? All that great stuff.
Yeah. So Becca Luna Education is a full business in a box, if you will, style brand. My wife, Becca, is an incredible web designer, one of the maybe biggest Showit designers in the world. And after building her business to pretty consistent 30 to 50K months as this self-taught creative, we realized that it was an absolute disservice to not help other women build these skills, launch the business, and feel the impact that we had in our life. So in 2021, we launched our first program called Wealthy Web Designer, which is now our signature flagship offer that teaches the business side of things. And then over the next couple of years, we have come out with a full 5-step curriculum teaching both the skill of web design, the business side of how to launch your own personal brand doing it, and then everything in between of how to find clients, how to launch passive income website templates, how to launch a day rate. And then in 2023, I came out with the Becca Luna Showit Site Canvas library. And this was the first of its kind. And what we did was I commercially licensed all of Becca's designs that she had done for about 250 websites and built them into a library for our students to use and never have to give us credit, never have to tell their clients. And essentially, they can copy and paste this key code into their account and immediately are an amazing designer with an entire library of templates to use. That's BLE. We have an amazing student body and community of about 13,000 women from all over the world. We have students in 97 countries. Restructuring a little bit into having one signature academy style offer of everything that we have into one. And I'm super excited for that. And we'll continue to sell them a la carte and turn this into something maybe even bigger than it is right now.
Okay. I love that. So tell us websites, social handles, all the places we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere online if you type in Willow Kai. I write a lot of articles. I put them out on Forbes and Entrepreneur talking about entrepreneurship in your 20s and helping people find online jobs. Willow Kai on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything like that. My podcast is called The Profitable Husband, and my podcast with my wife is called Wealthy Web Designer, as is our entire online education brand.
Okay. I love it. For everyone listening, obviously this will all be linked in the show notes. So if you're driving or managing the kids or doing whatever, don't worry, it's all going to be accessible for you to click and be able to connect with Willow, connect with Becca, and dive right in and get business in a box and build something for yourself. Like,
yes,
everybody have something that you're proud of and be able to put out into the world and monetize.
Yes. Yeah. No, if you're listening to this and you are dabbling between skills or dabbling between creative outlets and you just want to explore and see if web design might be a good offer for you to offer to clients, you can always check out creativecareercourse.com and it will give you an entire free, essentially crash course on what web design is, how you can build a business, and see if it's a good fit for you.
Okay, perfect. We'll add that in as well. Before we go, can you tell us, and this is like a kind of on the spot question, but in the next 3 to 5 years, what's your prediction of the online space?
It's a good question. I think that simple online courses and coaching will be phased out. I think that the days of being able to sell a coaching package that's 20, 30K and it's just calls is going to be phased out. I think that selling a course that's just telling somebody how to do things is going to be phased out. And with the ability to create assets quicker now, it has to go into being super resource heavy, meaning that if I'm coaching somebody, it can't just be me being like, hey, yeah, you should create that. It's like me giving it to them and saying, this is what you create. Now do something with it. Same exact thing with courses, which is really how we're focusing on. It's like not saying, hey, this is how you talk to a client. It's saying, hey, this is my script. Use it, make it right for you. That's what you do. I think that we will get I'm not a part of it yet, but I think that we will get a website like, oh, I'm forgetting the name, but I think that we will get a website that you can look up coaches and educators and see honest reviews.
Oh, like a directory, but
Yeah,
like
I'm
Reddit.
What is the name of, you can already do this for jobs, Glassdoor.
Oh, yes.
There's going to be a Glassdoor for coaches, which I think is going to be incredible. I think that it's going to grow immensely, but like that's how I'll end it. I think that with post-secondary education starting to be looked at as, okay, this is an investment. Where's the return? I think that there will be a huge influx of online education and people continuing to put the world on to opportunities that you just don't know about, like web design. Like people that are listening, like, oh, I've never thought about being a web designer. Like neither did we, and neither did our students. But you're going to be in the next 3 to 5 years turned on to careers and passions and hobbies and all sorts of things that you've never, ever been exposed to, which I think is beautiful.
I love that prediction. I'm here
Amazing.
for that.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me on. This was so fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for being here, Willow.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for listening in. And we'll be back next week with another episode.
Amazing.